Yeah, we going up, we going crazy, going bonkers. Produced by Ziggy, Zay Ticky, believe that.
It ain't peaches, it'll deceive you, boy, believe me. What you know about a jungle made with nothing but seed. No creepy crawlers, just heathens that prey on your weakness. Smell the slightest hint of fear, and the stainless you'll eat it. Gang bangers that greet your test on their face like Weezy. Pouring milk by the ounce, walking around looking sleepy. I'm from a town, no integrity, a broken city, disrupted. I know niggas who once were real, who now turning into sucks. When it comes to murder, it's nothing. Rallos get pulled over scuffles. Bumpy road around this motherfucker, your life means nothing. It ain't peaches. Niggas walking around with no feelings, with a chip on their shoulder, saying the world don't feel us. Trying to earn them some millions so they can split with they niggas. I know cats that died broke because they lost all ambition. When it comes out to get
This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome back to another edition of More to Live For, Men of Honor, Volume 5. I have a special guest with me this morning. I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell you what it is that he does, and we're going to start just like that. How you doing this morning, Coach?
Doing great. I'm Woolard. I'm the athletic director at Riverside High School in Williamston. It used to be Williamston High School, and in 2010 they merged Janesville, Houston, and it became Riverside High School. I've been there as athletic director been there a total of about 7 years. But I did, as we talked last night, I did spend 20 some years coaching and then teaching also at North Pitt High School. So it's always going to be, that's where I got my start. And we've talked about it in length a little bit before. It's the path that you go and the path that leads me here. So that field in the background there and where we sat last night, that it brings back a lot of memories, a lot of good times on that field and in that school.
Oh yeah, definitely, Coach, definitely. And kind of piggyback off what you said, we did go in length, about the good times on that field, and it was special, even though things didn't go the exact way that I wanted them to go. I do think that we did have a good time, reliving those moments. So I really don't want to highlight too much on that again, but I do want to kind of talk about your teaching years at North Pitt and the big influence that you had on not only just me but a lot of students in my age, as we enter, as we slowly approach our 40s, and just everything that our 20s were and our 30s are, everybody seems to be remembering how special Coach Woolard was, and a lot of people didn't play sports to know. So, that's why I kind of want to talk about that this morning.
Yeah. Well, I tell everybody when they ask me about teaching, what is teaching? I teach history. I've taught world history, geography, American history, a ton of other stuff. But I tell people and I tell young teachers, job is an educator. You're not a certain subject teacher. You may teach math, you may teach history. But when that kid comes in your class, your job is to educate them how to be young men and women. I tell kids, if you leave my class at the end of the semester and all you know is history, then I failed you as a person. Because my job is to teach you how to be successful, a young man or a woman who's going to go out and have skills to be successful. So we learn life skills, and one of the things that you learn on the sports field is those life skills. We talked about brotherhood. We talked about accountability. Well, you do the same thing in the classroom, because again, those rules and those things you learn in the classroom, you carry with you into your later age. You may not remember who won the War of 1812 or even who the 1812 war was fought between, but I hope when you leave, when you get to be 30 or 40 years old, you go, I learned some things in Coach Willard's class I can use here, how to act towards other people, how to get things done. So, teaching to me is a huge responsibility, and it should be to all teachers. You're not just doing a job; you're shaping lives.
Well put, Coach. Definitely thank you for explaining that to us. one of the good things that we talked about last night is how, like I was telling you that, I have a few regrets from high school, mainly like not taking advantage of the opportunity of having a teacher from my hometown that's, my head coach. Like I kind of touched on that last night when we were, doing our in-person. But the way you explained that you really can't, hold on to things from the past that you didn't do. You kind of got to like make the best of the situation. Now, if you could kind of touch on that again, the way you explained that.
That's right. So there are tons of things that I've done in my life that I wish were different. But then I've come to a realization as the older I get, there are things in your life, if it changes the outcome. We talked about last night. If I had not married my wife, if we had not moved to Bethel, if I hadn't met Charlie Wall, and if I hadn't met Ken Whitehurst, would have their teaching. Had I not met Preston Bowers and my wife, when I first started coaching, I wasn't teaching. My wife pushed me to go back and get my teaching degree. I had a degree in history and geography, but not a teaching degree. So they pushed me to go back. So any one of those little things changes, and I don't become a teacher. I don't become a director of athletics. I don't sit here with you and talk about these things. So I don't really think that we should hold on to regrets. There may be some things you want to do differently, but the things you do in your life and the struggles you have in your life and some of the things wrong shape who you are as a person. I told you last night, I didn't do well in college my first 4 years. I came from a very small town. I got ECU, and Greenville was huge. A lot of things to do in Greenville that I thought were more important than doing my schoolwork.
Right.
But those things, so I can tell kids now in the classroom, these are the years where you need to set those good habits. So I believe that not to get real, I believe God has a plan for everyone. And people can view that however they want to in their life, whether it be God or destiny, but there's a plan for your life. I just believe God has made my plan, and those things I went through shape who I am now. Those things you went through in high school shape what you are now. I teach kids from all walks of life. I teach kids who have two parents. I teach kids who have one parent. I teach kids who have no parent around. However, the things that they see in their lifetime shapes them to who they're going to be. And I hope that I get to be part of that too. But I don't believe in living your life in regrets, because if you live your life in regrets, you live your life in the past, and you can't do that. Your life is shaped for the future.
Exactly. Well put, Coach. And I thank you for explaining that. But to kind of, touch on some things we were talking about last night as far as the sports side of things, I do think it was, real important, to play sports at a young age, especially, football. We kind of talked about this last night, but how I'm coming from a small town, a small school, and I have the privilege of building these relationships before school even starts. And now when school starts, I have the friends that I already have and these new friends that I met that I already built this relationship with for 4 to 6 weeks, and how that's all connected through sports. And something that I do believe, and like I really don't try to touch on politics at all on this channel, but I really do think that sports all across the world, that's really what connects us. Like no matter what your walk of life is, like it's just weird that somebody could be here cheering for a certain team, and all across the world on the the other side of the world, somebody that you would think that knows nothing about this team, and they're cheering for the exact team. So that's the thing about sports that I love. So I want to thank you for helping me, build that bond and brotherhood. But I'm sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, well, you can go to any place, any sports bar anywhere in Greenville, and you can sit down and watch a game, and people you've never met before, when you leave there, you're like best friends because you have something in common. You have that game, and that's what we talk about here. You bring these kids out when they're freshmen. It's hard being a freshman in high school. You go from being the top dog in middle school, and now you're back at the bottom in high school. So when you come out to sports, it's that common ground reach, and it's the idea that we're working for a common goal. And I'm gonna hit politics a little bit here, but I think that's what we need to get more back to as people. We need to get more back to as politicians, and that's you doing that is that for a common goal. There are a lot of things that people in life, whether it be in business, politics, or whatever, they can learn right there on that green grass behind you. They can get down, and when you get down and dirty, and you start trading some sweat, you start trading some blood for a common purpose. That's when things get done. That's when you get the good of people taken care of.
Yeah, well put, Coach, and I definitely agree. So not to get too far off subject, but could you kind of educate me on like how the transition was, going from coaching to being like the head athletic director, and how that is, and like what memories you have from this field, or things that you learned that you carried over, to make you what you are now, and do it at such a high level.
Sure. So I loved coaching, but there was always something in me that I wanted to be an athletic director. I wanted to be able, and this is the reason why. I see my coach. I see a certain number of people. I see my football team, but I don't see every other sport that's playing. Being an athletic director has afforded me to see every sport in a school playing, and again, that's my passion. The sports and dealing with kids on all levels is my passion. So being an athletic director allowed me to do that. So when I got to Riverside High School, I had not planned on coaching. I had coached tennis when I left North Pitt. When I got to Riverside, I didn't plan on coaching. And here again, how things work. I got in the guy who was coaching tennis there happened to leave, and the athletic director there at the time was a guy named Kirby Manus, now in Pitt County. He's a principal in Pitt County. And he came in and said, "Hey, guess what? You're coaching tennis." It didn't give me an option. And I was like, "That's great." But I was able to work my way through and be able to become athletic director. That job came up when he left. Herbie Rogers, who was a great mentor to me as athletic director, he just passed away a couple of weeks ago, but he was a great mentor to me as athletic director. So when he resigned or retired, I'm sorry, after Kirby left, I became athletic director. And again, that is a path for me. I learned from tons of people. So Lynn Barber, who was athletic director at Riverside High School when I got there, I learned things from him. He's a lot like Herbie Rogers was, very financial minded. Ken Whitehurst was athletic director there for a while when I was there. Matter of fact, he was there until he left as athletic director. And I learned the passion from kids from him. Paul Cornwell, great guy, passion for kids. You talk about a passion for kids. That's why I learned a lot from Paul on that deal. But probably as athletic director, because I spent more time around him, Herbie Rogers at Riverside. And he's in Martin County and around North Carolina. He's a well respected name and a well respected gentleman. Pat, again, like I said, passed away suddenly a couple of weeks ago. But that's why I became athletic director. It allows me to see everyone, and I get to the coaching part never goes away. So one of the things that some of the folks around my football coach and my baseball coach, my former football coach who was at Riverside High School, Coach C. McGill, I'll show up at his football practice. I'd grab a football. I'm throwing pass routes. I'm helping kids throw and helping kids run pass routes. Baseball, I'll go out there and I walk out there while they're warming up. And I go, guys, it's going to bust me wide open, but I got to share this with you. Here's what we used to do. So the coaching part is still in there, and I'm still able. I just get to go from each sport, one sport to the next, and throw my 2 cents worth in. And the great thing about being an athletic director is nobody's going to tell me no because I'm in charge. So they kind of throw me that bone. Coaches throw me that bone and let me do that, and then I move along my way. So I really enjoy this. It's a passion of mine now.
I think that's pretty cool. Like you said, the fact that you get to, be involved in all the sports, not just football, and the fact that you're so hands-on. I think that's very beneficial to these student athletes. Because like you said, you really don't have to be hands-on, but you're out there, participating in the practices. So I think that's very helpful and very motivational for these student athletes. So I definitely think what you do. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the kids are always surprised when they see an old 54-year-old go out there and shoot basketball and make baskets from 3-point. And they're like, you can shoot basketball. I was like, don't let the gray and the beard fool you. I can still play some basketball. I just can't play as long as I used to be able to.
Right. I heard that. So, one thing that I wanted to ask you yesterday, I never really got around to, but are your children involved in any sports?
So both my kids are now. My son is 23 and a son is 18 years old. My 23 works in Williamston. He has a 2-year-old baby girl, and my first granddaughter. We could have a whole interview on that because I am that proud grandfather, and I will not stop talking about her.
I heard that.
So she's good. My 18-year-old, he's a freshman at ECU. He played golf at North Pitt and enjoyed that. We joke about it. I don't think he loved golf as much as he loved getting out at 10 or 11 o'clock every day for a golf match. But they do. We still get out. Our most competitive times is out here in the driveway playing horse basketball. Now we'll play we still have a basketball goal. I moved it over to my son's house, who lives across the neighborhood here. But yeah, they grew up sport minded. They played football. My oldest son played 2 years of football at North Pitt until he hurt his knee and got a concussion, and that kind of got him where he said, I don't really know if this is what I want to do. And then, like I say, Evan played golf there with Coach Goddard. Talk about somebody who influences kids. Coach Goddard, the kids love him. My son Evan, my youngest one, loved playing golf with him. So they're still sports minded, but a little older.
Okay. Have you had the opportunity of running into an old player that you coached and being with your kids, and have they experienced seeing former players and your reaction? I asked because
Sure.
not to cut you off, but a few years ago I ran into Coach Ashland, and he had his sons with him, and his sons don't know exactly their age, but I'm pretty sure high school, if not early college now. But I was just, speaking to him, and they kind of had a look in their eyes like, wow, like you're a big deal. And I was telling them, I was like, I didn't even, play basketball, but I know your dad was the man, like as far as, the varsity coach. So I was wondering if you kind of experienced anything like that.
My kids joke that they can't go anywhere with me or that I don't know somebody. And so I get people coming up, excuse me, I get people come up to me all the time. Hey, I remember you taught me or so-and-so, or you coached me. And my kids like that. They joke with me that you don't ever know a stranger. My wife and I went on vacation. It's been years back. We're up in somewhere in Western North Carolina. And I go to a Hardee's and we're getting something to eat, and all of a sudden out of the back, we're 300 some miles away, out of the back, and some guy yells, Coach Woolard. It's one of my former players. So the biggest thing I enjoy now are seeing my former players' kids, and I get to go to them. Dante Person still calls me dad, and so I'm driving the bus with the tennis girls from Riverside, and we're going through Greenville, and the guy in the DOT comes up beside me and yells, "Daddy!" Now Dante in person looks at me, and I look at him. Girls look at me going, "Daddy," because Dante and I don't look alike, of course.
Right.
And that's things like that. I cherish my kids. My kids love when former players come up. But really, I love seeing those former players' kids. Mike Dunn, I've seen him write those. His girl playing volleyball and them playing against Riverside, I would see them. So I see former players all the time. I really enjoy that, seeing their kids. I like the idea of being recognized. I don't mind that at all, because if you remember who I am, then it means I must have done something good. If you don't remember me, then I didn't do anything. And again, I'm called to do something that stands out. I'm called to be remembered, I think.
Exactly. And like you said, it's good that, people remember you, and, you run into people that not only you coach, but, people from the classroom too. So that just goes to show you that your coaching, was just impactful as your teaching. So they're on the same level. So I definitely want to thank you for doing this with me, Coach. I think we're going to wrap it up. We definitely covered some great things, relived some great moments on this field right here. So once again, I want to thank you for doing this for me, and I want to wish you peace and blessings to you and your family, and want you guys to have a great day, and thank you for doing this for me. And this has been another edition of Men of Honor Volume 5 featuring Coach Woolard. And we're going to sign out just like that. Y'all have a great one. Thanks for watching.